How does a room full of laughter hide a life of quiet pain? Could the person whose jokes made millions smile be carrying a secret heavier than applause? These are the questions that surround the story of Vivien Vance, a woman remembered as the lovable Ethel Mertz on I Love Lucy, yet one whose real life was filled with battles most fans never imagined. Her tale is not just about a supporting actress who helped create television history. It is about a woman who paid a steep price to keep the laughter alive while struggling with humiliation, abuse, and a deep longing to be seen for who she truly was. Vivien Vance's name will forever be tied to Ethel Mertz, the clumsy but dependable neighbor who stood beside Lucille Ball's Lucy Ricardo. To millions of viewers, she was a natural, a woman whose timing and expressions brought endless joy into living rooms across America. But for Vance, stepping into Ethel's shoes was both a career breakthrough and a curse. She was adored for the character, yet trapped by it, shaped by Hollywood's cruel demands and overshadowed by myths that refused to die. One of the most persistent tales claimed she was contractually forced to gain weight so Lucy would look glamorous in comparison. The truth is less scandalous yet just as painful. There was never such a clause. The rumor was born from a joke Lucy made, but once Hollywood latched onto it, the story spread like wildfire. What was real, however, was the deliberate effort to make Vance appear less attractive. Ill-fitting costumes, frumpy hairstyles, and aging makeup were part of a strategy to keep the spotlight squarely on Lucy. For Vivian, the message was clear. Her role was not to shine, but to make someone else glow brighter. Adding to the burden was her infamous on-screen marriage to Fred Mertz, played by William Frawley. Their relationship off-camera was anything but harmonious. From the very beginning, tension ran high. Vance reportedly dismissed him as too old and unappealing for her character's husband, a remark Frawley overheard. The insult cut deep, and he never forgave her. What followed was years of hostility. Their professional chemistry was undeniable, but it was fueled by real disdain. Frawley's alcoholism only made matters worse, causing erratic behavior that often disrupted filming. Vance found his presence unbearable, to the point of demanding her own dressing room. Behind the laughs, she was forced to endure the toxic presence of a man she despised. The bitterness carried into their careers long after I Love Lucy. When producers considered a spin-off starring Fred and Ethel, Vance flatly refused. She wanted no part of a future tied to him, and Hollywood insiders were stunned by her rejection of what seemed like guaranteed success. The feud never healed. When Frawley died in 1966, Vance's reaction was startling, relief rather than sorrow. It was a chilling reminder of how deeply scarred she had been by years of conflict. Yet professional animosity was only one part of the storm Vivian weathered. Behind closed doors, she endured an abusive marriage to actor Philip Ober. He was jealous of her rising fame while his own career dimmed, and his frustrations turned violent. Black eyes and bruises were not makeup tricks but the ugly truth of a household ruled by cruelty. Lucille Ball, fiercely protective of her friend, urged her to leave him, recognizing the danger Vance was in. Still, trapped by the stigma of divorce and the silence that often surrounded domestic violence in the 1950s, Vance carried her pain in secret. To millions of viewers, she was a source of endless laughter. In reality, she was surviving torment that threatened to break her spirit. Her childhood had already sown the seeds of insecurity that never left her. Raised in a strict Methodist household, she felt repressed and out of place, especially with her passion for performing. She grew up battling anxiety, a condition made worse when she suffered partial facial paralysis in the 1930s. The physical recovery left emotional scars, and stepping into the ruthless spotlight of Hollywood magnified her fragility. Performing under pressure, always conscious of her appearance, and enduring the comparisons to Lucy took a heavy toll. Vance admitted she needed therapy just to endure the demands of the show. Comedy may have been her gift, but it came at the cost of her mental peace. Still, amid these struggles, there were moments of connection that lifted her. Her relationship with Lucille Ball evolved from tension to deep friendship. An early clash, Vance showing up late to set, sparked a confrontation that, surprisingly, became the foundation of mutual respect. Over time, the two women leaned on each other, crafting some of television's most unforgettable moments. Their friendship was layered, marked by both rivalry and loyalty, but it endured through the decades. This bond helped Vance navigate the physical and emotional sacrifices required of her role. Scenes like the famous chocolate factory conveyor belt demanded grueling effort, leaving her nauseated and exhausted as machines malfunctioned. In another instance, She had to drink a tonic containing 23% alcohol to convincingly appear drunk for a commercial sketch. What audiences laughed at on screen often left her drained and suffering off camera. Despite these hardships, Vivien Vance made history. In 1953, she won the very first Emmy for Outstanding Supporting Actress, an award created specifically to honor her contributions. It was a groundbreaking moment that recognized the power of supporting roles. Yet even this triumph was bittersweet. The accolade cemented her status but also locked her in Ethel's shadow. Hollywood, in its short-sightedness, failed to see beyond the character, and Vance struggled to break free from the image of Lucy's sidekick. The public loved her, but they didn't always see her. They saw only Ethel. The cost of fame went beyond typecasting. Vance endured threatening letters from obsessive fans who demanded harm to her character, intrusive stalking, and invasions of privacy that left her shaken. Fame, instead of granting her freedom, trapped her in fear. When she finally made the bold choice to leave I Love Lucy, it was seen as reckless by many. For Vance, it was survival. She needed to reclaim herself, to escape the suffocating role that both defined and diminished her. But freedom did not guarantee success. After leaving, her career stumbled. She was fired from a promising Broadway role and reduced to appearing in commercials to make ends meet. Her Maxwell House coffee ads became familiar to audiences, but they were a far cry from the triumphs of her television glory. Worse still, her health began to fail. Behind her bright smile, Vivian was masking exhaustion and pain, her body weakened by illness. The contrast between her public image and her private suffering grew sharper with each passing year. In the 1970s, her struggles intensified. A minor stroke during a 1977 CBS special left her shaken, though she carried on with professional grace. What she did not reveal publicly was her ongoing battle with metastatic breast cancer, diagnosed years earlier. She endured surgeries and chemotherapy, fighting to preserve her strength while keeping her suffering hidden. The courage to maintain appearances in the face of such agony spoke volumes about her resilience, but also about the lonely weight of a performer's mask. Mental health challenges continued to shadow her. Chronic anxiety led to repeated breakdowns, and in 1974, she even considered electroconvulsive therapy, a treatment that carried heavy stigma at the time. Her struggles mirrored those of many women in Hollywood's golden era. Talented, accomplished, yet forced to hide their pain in order to maintain the illusion of perfection. Vance's story reflects not just her own suffering, but a broader truth about the silenced battles of countless performers. One sorrow haunted her more deeply than most: the loss of motherhood. A miscarriage during her abusive marriage robbed her of the chance to have children, a wound she carried silently. In its place, she poured her affection into others, becoming a nurturing figure to young actresses and treating Lucy's children with maternal warmth. The absence of her own family only deepened the emotional layers she brought to her roles, giving her comedy an underlying tenderness. In her final years, Vivian lived in fragile health, spending her last days in Belvedere. Lucille Ball visited her there, and the two shared laughter and tears, a bittersweet reflection of their decades-long connection. Their friendship had been complicated, but it was real, a bond that outlived professional rivalries. Ball's grief after Vance's passing revealed the depth of their relationship. Two women forever tied together by art, fame, and shared struggles. Vivien Vance passed away in 1979, leaving behind more than reruns and nostalgia. Her private letters revealed her frustration at being typecast, her bitterness at being denied creative opportunities, and her exhaustion from carrying the burden of endurance for so long. These writings dismantled the illusion of a carefree comedic star and revealed instead a woman who longed for recognition beyond the confines of one role. Her legacy, however, is undeniable. She redefined supporting roles, proving they could be just as vital and beloved as leads. She broke barriers with her Emmy win, showing that television could celebrate the contributions of actors who might otherwise be overlooked. More than that, she brought authenticity into American homes. Ethel Mertz was not glamorous or perfect, but she was real, relatable, and filled with heart. Vivien Vance gave audiences a character who felt like a neighbor, a friend, a part of the family. That humanity was her greatest gift. But behind the laughter was sacrifice. Her health, her youth, and her happiness were often compromised to serve a demanding industry. Her life reminds us that the bright glow of fame often casts deep shadows. While viewers laughed at Ethel's antics, the woman behind the character was fighting battles that few ever saw. Today, every time I Love Lucy replays on television, Vivien Vance's presence lives on. New generations laugh at her comedic brilliance, unaware of the pain she carried. Yet perhaps that is the bittersweet beauty of her legacy. She turned her struggles into joy for others. Her story forces us to ask whether we are celebrating the real person or the carefully constructed image the world was given. The truth is that both exist. Vivien Vance, the woman of quiet sorrow and resilience, and Ethel Mertz, the beloved character who became immortal. Her story lingers as both a cautionary tale and a triumph. She was a pioneer who helped shape television history, but also a reminder of the personal costs hidden behind applause. Vivien Vance lived a life filled with both brilliance and pain, laughter and tears, resilience and fragility. And in remembering her, we see not just a character, but a woman who fought to be more than the role she played. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more about the untold lives behind Hollywood's brightest faces, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us keep these powerful stories alive. Short description.